Stop wasting money. Protects your capital. Enjoy life. Let Nexus work.
Technology of tomorrow. Available today. Welcome. I speak every language.
Welcome to today's Explainer. You know, we often look at the commercial cleaning industry and just see simple manual labor, right? A mop, a bucket, somebody pushing a scrubber. But today, we're going to completely shatter that illusion because the reality, modern commercial cleaning and floor restoration is actually a highly advanced technical discipline. It literally requires a deep interdisciplinary understanding of material chemistry, microbiology, and mechanical engineering. And when that knowledge is missing, well, the results are absolutely catastrophic. We are talking about ruined multi-million-dollar physical assets, massive economic damage, and honestly, a shocking human toll. So today, we're exposing the incredibly high cost of ignorance in this industry, and we're discovering the digital architecture that's designed to fix it all. So, what is the true cost of cheap cleaning? Well, 64%. In an industry that we so casually dismiss as simple work, a staggering 64% of all occupational injuries reported are actually chemical burns. Let that sink in for a second. We have this workforce largely made up of immigrant laborers who are putting their health and their literal lives on the line every single shift, simply because they're operating blindly in a highly toxic environment. It's a systemic failure across the board, and it all starts with a profound lack of technical knowledge. Okay, let's dive into this. When someone just, glugs out way too much chemical because they're hoping it cleans better, or they use entirely the wrong product altogether, the floor doesn't just stay dirty. It becomes the sticky, ruined, and incredibly hazardous mess. Facility managers will often just choose the absolute cheapest cleaning service out there, thinking, hey, we're saving money. But what they are actually buying is a ticking financial time bomb. That cheapest service essentially guarantees a total lack of chemical knowledge, which just leaves behind permanently damaged infrastructure. And this brilliantly illustrates that it's not just a chemical problem, it's a mechanical one too. Think about it. A dirty mop that's just spreading grime around, or an auto scrubber running with a filthy, completely worn out pad, that isn't cleaning. When an untrained worker uses dirty equipment or dirty water on an expensive commercial floor, they are literally grinding a breeze of dirt right back into the surface of a multi-million-dollar physical asset. It's exactly the equivalent of taking sandpaper to the hood of a luxury car, all because of a simple, totally preventable mechanical failure. Now, what's really interesting here is the fundamental physics and chemistry happening right beneath our feet. Take luxury natural stone floors like marble, limestone, or travertine. Chemically speaking, these beautiful stones are based on calcium carbonate. So if an uninformed, cheap cleaner comes in and applies an acidic cleaning agent to that, there is a violent chemical reaction. The acid literally melts and etches the stone. It instantly destroys the expensive mechanical polish, dramatically increases the stone's porosity, and basically ensures that future dirt will just penetrate deep into the material. The floor is practically ruined in seconds. Let's move on and see how this builds, because this translates directly into an undeniable economic argument. You can track exactly how these chemical errors cause structural decay and massive economic damage. We just talked about acid on marble, but consider something like overwetting carpets. A lack of knowledge about drying kinetics leads to fungal biofilm growth, which ruins the carpet and creates severe health risks. Or how about using high pH degreasers on polymer-coated floors? That literally dissolves the chemical crosslinks and makes the protective coating just peel right off. Every single one of these errors requires incredibly costly restoration or even complete surface replacement. So, how does the industry currently try to fix this mess? Well, with what I like to call the architecture of illusion. They send a worker to a 6-hour training course, hand them a paper certificate, and just call it a day. It's a complete myth. These rapid-fire presentations cause something called unrooted fluency. That means the worker learns to mimic the physical motions, maybe repeat some industry jargon, but they don't actually understand the underlying physics or chemistry. And let me tell you, a piece of paper hanging on an office wall is about as useful as a chocolate teapot during a real-time chemical emergency at 2 a.m. on an isolated site. Which brings us back to the most urgent, really devastating part of this whole crisis, the human toll. Chemical burns at 64%. Skin diseases at 61%, severe respiratory diseases at 26%. The hardest, most dangerous work in this sector is done primarily by immigrant workers. And it's a systemic tragedy because these folks face devastating occupational diseases simply due to language barriers. They are thrown into a toxic, dangerous environment without the real ability to comprehend exactly what they're handling. And here is perhaps the most terrifying example of that language barrier in action: toxic chlorine gas. Material Safety Data Sheets, or MSDS, are highly technical, extremely complicated documents. If an immigrant worker cannot read the native language of that data sheet, well, the sheet is completely useless. Out of pure guesswork, they might mix a common chlorine bleach with an acidic cleaner, and the result? The sudden emission of lethal chlorine gas. They are literally putting their lives on the line because the industry's entire method of communication is just fundamentally broken. Section 10. BAS Nexus AI, the ultimate operational insurance. This is exactly where the paradigm shifts. Now, to be perfectly clear, BAS Nexus AI is not some cheap, hallucinating chatbot that just guesses at answers. Not at all. It is an advanced, thinking artificial intelligence built strictly on the verified knowledge of global manufacturers and experts, and it's designed to be available 24/7. Let's walk through this workflow together. Imagine that immigrant worker standing on a site at midnight, facing an unknown, potentially dangerous chemical. Expecting them to read a 50-page PDF at 2 a.m.? That's absurd. So instead, they just open Nexus AI on their device. Within exactly 30 seconds, the AI instantly diagnoses the problem and delivers precise occupational health and safety, OHS and BHP instructions, translated perfectly into their native language. It says, "Stop. This will cause chemical burns. Put on nitrile gloves. Do not mix with bleach." It eliminates that communication barrier entirely, takes away the paralyzing stress, and actually restores dignity to the marginalized worker. So the crucial point here is understanding the absolute gulf between standard AI and Nexus. Standard chatbots just rely on algorithmic guessing. They don't understand the physics of floor grinding. They certainly don't understand the pH scale, and they're completely useless as a legal defense in a court of law. Nexus, on the other hand, acts objectively as a master engineer. It diagnoses the specific chemistry of a spill, it understands the geometry of a polishing pad, and most importantly, it generates cloud-logged proof of every single interaction. That cloud-logged proof completely transforms Nexus into an ironclad operational insurance policy for employers. You see, when an accident or property damage happens, insurance companies will ruthlessly look for any evidence of gross negligence so they can deny multi-million-dollar payouts. A one-day training certificate? That won't hold up in court. But Nexus provides undeniable, time-stamped proof that the employer provided permanent, 24/7 access to the highest global safety standards and emergency procedures right in the worker's exact native language. It completely protects owners from liability. And because of all this, Nexus also acts as an incredibly powerful ally for trade unions. Trade unions are constantly out there fighting to ensure that workers aren't just treated as disposable, cheap labor who are forced to handle toxic chemicals blindly. Nexus satisfies those exact demands. It gives unions a hard, verifiable guarantee that every single worker has permanent preventative health and safety training sitting right there in their pockets, literally protecting human life on the front lines every single shift. Ultimately, we have to expose the grave danger facing facility managers and investors today. It's the cheapest price illusion. Judging a cleaning or restoration service solely by the lowest bid is an absolute guarantee of ruined assets, devastating chemical burns, and endless lawsuits. That cheap price is really just a mask for extreme ignorance. The Nexus era, however, guarantees perfectly executed work driven by global AI intelligence, zero liability through continuous safety logging, and absolutely maximum return on investment. We've seen today just how incredibly high the cost of ignorance truly is, and how we can actually solve it by putting the world's knowledge directly into the hands of the people who need it the most. But this leaves us with a critical question to ask ourselves. How many other hidden dangers are we casually walking past in our own facilities every single day? Life is too short to waste on old problems, reading long PDFs, or strange trainings. Use Nexus, which has global world knowledge. Enjoy life. Let Nexus work.
Life is too short to waste on old problems. Enjoy life. Let Nexus work.